Hello, welcome to my channel. It's good to have you here. So my name is Gemma. I'm a criminologist and I'm a advanced sportist. I'm gematria, so welcome. It's gematria. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is COVID-19. I'm going to talk about what it was about and I'm going to explain it to you so you can understand from a criminological perspective what's going on. It's very noisy. I didn't manifest this for me. So, let's get on. This is going to be talking about the topic of COVID-19, and this was actually, let's just break it down a little bit. It was meant to be an outbreak of a virus that took place, and everybody had to self-isolate or isolate with family and stay away, and it came to one person out at a time. And it was an act of social conditioning, I think. And the reason why is so it would enforce aspects of artificial intelligence. So we actually used our phones more, okay? So I think that COVID-19 was so that we could use our phones more, use the internet more, and go on the internet, which actually happened because there was nothing else to do. Right, so this, I believe, was why it happened. So it was to understand aspects of like how humanity changed and why. Okay, so this is really the reality of the situation, and it was because it was an introduction to 24-hour AI. Everything went onto emails, everything went all on AI, okay, on the internet. So why is this? Why did that happen? And how has it changed humanity? So in my own opinion, I'm gonna say right now that the injections were for artificial enforcement, because obviously it had the nanobites in it. So it was an aspect of control within that, the injection itself. So whether that was good or bad or not, it was a practice of eugenics. Okay, so eugenics is something where we use medical experiments to provide a cure. So the cure came out very quickly. They blamed it on a bat, an infection with a bat, and everybody had to self-isolate. So the reality is everyone had to be away from everybody and nobody could be social. So it took away an aspect of community, social integration, and how we behaved with each other. So we were less likely to touch somebody and say hi. So now we don't do that. And it divided us. So it was a condition to teach us a division, okay? So like there were cubicles when we would go and line up, okay? There were things like this where the shops had windows on the front of them, which they still do. But this is used to be out of people committing theft and burglary, but it was used then as a form of stay away from other people because you are a virus. Okay, you might have a virus, they might have a virus. They gave you reasons of how the symptoms might prevail, like you can't smell, you can't taste. And this is a symptom of the virus. So everything was a social conditioning within society. So if we understand this from a sociological standpoint, which is a subject at school and it's a social science, we can understand that it conditioned us to be distant from our people. other people. It taught us to be distant from other people as a general consensus, okay? So this is the concern. I am concerned. And this is one of the reasons why I can sort of now understand an explanation and give you one. Because it separated community. And this was one of the biggest things that you can do to humanity. It pushes aspects of individualism, but it can also stop us from being who we are, which is normal and integrative, where we hug and kiss. So, anxiety can come from this. Our children might have experienced anxiety from these conditionings that we had when at that time. So we can understand that these people may have struggled a little bit more, or the conditioning was there for the younger children more than it was us. So they are less likely to be connected with other people in a physical realm, and community might be unsure what an aspect of community is. So a reintegration of that would need to take place now for the children to understand what the normality of community actually represents due to the separation. Okay, so a lot of what happened in COVID was, in my opinion, was an artificial intelligence reinforcement. So what else was we going to do? We was going to, have a limited access of area so we can enjoy life. And through that, we endured an aspect of isolation. So some people might have spent it alone anyway and got used to it anyway and not noticed. So the fundamental reason why I'm saying this is humanity changed and pushed aspects of individualism. So we do need to bring aspects of community back in. So on that note, I'd like to explain now further what COVID-19 was actually all about. And so from a sociological standpoint, if we understand the integration that humanity needed to take to go back to normal. Where was I? It's very noisy outside, I'm so sorry for that. Okay, so that is a sociological standpoint. So, but on a larger scale, what are we here to understand? It was the social conditioning, so it was the steps, it was the 2 meters, it was the specific lines away from each other, okay? So this is almost like an army-controlled environment. So when we remember what the position was, like specific meters away, 2 meters away, so it was very specific, and it was conducted as though it was an army military operation type thing. And I'm just going to say that. Obviously it's not, but it felt like it a lot when we was looking into this stuff. So the recognition is sort of what integrated after that. But we was taught certain things, okay, that was occultish in nature. Okay, it was occultish in nature. Like, for example, we had to sit in cubicles instead of sitting all together. We had to stand a couple of feet away from each other and stand still, away from each other. So it was very structured for a military exercise, but this is also a connection to the moon or the emotions, because the moon is the emotions, so I don't know why the moon would be at the top. It actually is the emotions, which is our tummies when we feel things in our tummies, like we might feel excited or sick or might feel hungry, and we feel these things, okay? So it would be in our tummies, won't it? So that's our emotions, okay, in a Kabbalic sense, but it might be a higher point in other ways, but I don't understand that one, because unless we're going to connect AI to this. So this would be like the moon, so going to the moon. Okay, so this is a rise to the moon, which is an occultish topic. Okay, so there's a connection with AI, the moon, and loads of people talk about it, about the space programs and going to the moon, which I've never spoke about, but I'm going to touch on it now. So this is like an AI enforcement, because we're not there. We're not at the moon, are we? So it can only be an understanding aspects of artificial intelligence, because it's not actually true. So we can understand the rise to there is going to be a completely different, because we just feel it, and we're just feeling it, okay? Because we're not there yet. We're not at that rise to that moon yet, okay? Because we can't get there. Can you remember? They say we can't get there now because we lost the knowledge, right? Remember? Okay? So the reality is that we may not have actually gone. It may have been a publicity stunt. So on that note, I'm going to leave that because it's an occult, okay? So remember, we had to stand at specific places, which is almost like if we was to do that, it'd be a military exercise. We'd all be stood still, wouldn't we? And then we'd understand that that is like a position. This is an occult. What do we do when we rise, when they take, it's a cloning connotation to the moon, okay? So this is the cloning connotation that they always illustrated to me anyway. It was a cloning, okay? You can clone me. And when they tried to skin me with Roblox because they brought all that out, well, that's when it started getting weird. Anyway, let's carry on. So this is like understanding an occult position, which would be absolute woo-woo out there, AI, aliens, stuff like this. So let's get back down to earth. Let's talk about psychology. Let's go back to COVID. So the social conditioning, psychological warfare on us in COVID was the nerves. Okay, I already broke this down a little bit, but this is psychology, our minds. So this is understanding the mind, how it works. So we was affected by this because we thought we was maybe all going to pass away. We wasn't going to survive because we might have all may have died of a virus, unfortunately, or the injection. And this is also why, because the injection is interesting, because that is part of the solution to COVID. But that's also the practice of eugenics. Now I'm going to leave that to you on that, because that was obviously then became a scientific position that, if I'm aware correctly, it passed a lot of people. They'd have the jabs and then they passed, okay? So a lot of people passed away because of that, okay? So I was seeing this happen, and other people was, key workers, things like this, everyone was seeing these things taking place. And the reason why there was a separation with a lot of family members, you might know now yourself that you might have a separation from a lot of family members, and this is also why, because we all know different pieces of the puzzle to what happened with COVID, and we're not allowed to talk about it, or we're not allowed to speak out about it, we're not allowed to talk to each other about it. This might be a reason as well why we're segregated from family, okay? Because usually when people want you to separate in a spiritual way, you fall apart in a 3D, so in on our daily lives, because it's already happened, because they pushed us all apart in COVID. So it was a gradual separation that took place, and there was a reason. And they did it because they needed to usher in a separation with the higher ones, okay? Yeah, right. So this had to be a 5D merged mix-up. This is what they've done. I'm telling you, because they have already got secrets. They already knew what they was doing. They were prepared, okay? George Bush Sr. said it himself. It will happen, okay? So what did they do in an AI enforcement? Okay, so let's get on to quantum physics a little bit, right? So let's talk about 5D, fifth dimension. Everyone says we're rising to 5D. Well, if you haven't risen to 5D, you're sure as hell going to rise to 5D now, because they've got facial recognition, okay? So you're going to be rising to 5D, people, and that's the reality. What's going to happen is it's going to be like a black death energy. It's already happening now because of the amount of children that are being taken. They actually haven't passed away through COVID. They've been taken from in different means. So the reason why I'm saying this is because it interlinks all together, and if you can't catch it, then don't bother about it. Don't understand it. But if you can catch it, then try and understand. So this is a mix. What's been happening, blatantly obvious, is that facial recognition is about, okay? So this is going to create aspects of us rising to an aspect of 5D, okay? So you're all going to be playing on an astral realm. If you ain't there, you are going to be there. And it's going to be an AI mix up as well, okay? So the people who are condoning, okay, things like children being put in these positions, you're probably not you're gonna face eternal death. Like, you're not gonna come back to the heart of the world, because this is where we are. This is the density, is the heart, right? So if you don't understand that, and you're trying to force it into a Scientology, you know there's always going to be a fall from there, okay? So remember, 5D is a fifth dimension. This is astral realm. So this is where they're going to try and push everyone in, but not from a natural process, from an AI one, okay? Where it's more controlled and less you're in control. So this is going to promote a mix-up in 5D. This is what's going to happen, unfortunately, to a lot of people. And this is how they are going to target humanity, and this is how it's going to be in a different way. The reason why they do or will or may do this is because they want to control, like, your life, and they want your things or whatever. They might take it or whatever. But this is how it might be, and it won't be you in charge of that astral body. It will be them, okay? And this is AI interference or enforcement. Unfortunately, it's true, okay? So this is why I have to bring this understanding to you, because it's an evolution or a de-evolution from where we were in 2019. So it can be a form of de-evolution if you are not controlling that astral body, okay? So I already know myself, because other people have done that to me. I understand aspects of Roblox and skins. I understand how this has been programmed, and I understand that NASA and Elon Musk knows more than what they want to explain, and whatever they care to, because they only care about their own families and their own stuff, okay? So why is it 5D is going to be merged, and it's going to be all mixed up? And it's because they're controlling them zones, okay? So they have access to, like, chips, brain chips. Elon Musk said it. So he's the one that's evolved since NASA, okay? So who's in charge? I'll leave that to you guys. So 5D's mixed up. Everyone's doing things in the astral realms. There's no control. There's no bodies to control these spaces. Even so, it might not even be Elon. I would argue it could just be everyone's playing 5D, and they're trying to play God, okay? But he must be observing and satellites and how they can bring that down and integrate and affect us. But our phones can do that. Anything can do that has actually got any artificial intelligence in it. Okay, so this is like a Mars merge, okay? So Mars merging with humanity. If you can figure that out, but there's always a run through with those ideas, okay? So, like I said, at 5D, everything's merged and mixed up, okay? This is also how you can understand, like, people maybe having a nervous breakdown. You can understand this through why people have mental issues, okay? And this is why, because at 6D, okay, this is a self-reflection. This is you reflecting yourself. This is you looking at yourself and reflecting on your actions or anything like this. This is a 6. Okay, so 6th dimension is always a position where you behold and see yourself. And if you're being controlled at 5th dimension, okay, you're just going to know that that isn't an aspect of you that's conducting that way, and it will fail, or it will be a fail at a rise at a 6D because you fail to recognize your consciousness, your actions, and how you've behaved. So you can either then pinpoint at a 6, was that me, wasn't it me? If you're trying to hide and get away with it and you think it's funny, well then that's obviously that's your 6D fail, because you recognise your consciousness and you're not a good person, because you've just manipulated the whole of humanity or parts of humanity with people you pretend not to be friends with, but you actually are. So, but we all end up criticising each other because we're all trying to better ourselves, so that's in opposition, okay? So always remember, even in a state where I'm going to criticise you, I don't actually completely hate you. I'm just telling you something because I'm telling you because it's an opinion, and you're making it work, right? We're making it work. We're doing it in different ways, challenging each other. Trust me, I'm kind at my challenging than some people have been kind at me with their challenging. And let me tell you here and now, those people that have done that to me are disgusting. Disgusting. You don't deserve money or power. Alright, so let's get on to this. The pyramid. So, in Freemasonry, you have a pyramid like this. Steps on it. Climbed all the way up to the top. Usually, the docile ones sit at the bottom, and the enlightened ones sit at the top. Enlightenment, docile, and you gradually climb up, okay, to understand enlightenment. I did this in 2020. In fact, I did this before. I always knew this. An aspect of enlightenment was always through me and within me and without me, and there's a reason, okay? So this is why they have to do redos. Like you have to. They've done a redo, like a 5D redo, like that was a different lifetime that I had, and it wasn't even my lifetime. And this is how they do time loops, time whoops, and change destinies. This is what they're doing. So I'm going to tell you, because this is why. I'm going to tell you all, because you're all at docile, but you seem to be up there, and you're all enlightenment beings that you push down here. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Okay, why doesn't it make any sense that the enlightened ones are at the bottom? That's an inverted state. Why are the docile at the top? Because they're the ones with the money. So usually when these things happen and take place, it's because the people have lots of money, but they want to create aspects of AI. So the rise on this is going to be, nobody's going anywhere, because there's nobody allowing the top to be an enlightened being. Like, obviously there's not just one either, there's many, right? So we have to understand enlightenment. What is enlightenment? How can you coin aspects of enlightenment? What is it? Is it having money? Is it? Is it having money? Is it? What else is it? What's enlightenment? It's having money, is it? Well, you can have money. You can be enlightenment or docile. You can have money, right? That's nothing, is it? What creates a higher rise in a pyramid on a scale? So I use myself as an example, because why not? Don't really like talking about other people, because it misses the point. So I'm gematria, and we're using me as a top. So what do you think that is a rise for me? Well, I'm a mother, so that's a rise. Did money create that? No, I did. So all my work on YouTube, it don't matter if I get paid for it or not. Did I create that? That's my work, right? It's mine. Yeah? It's mine stuff. Okay? I created that. Did I need money? No. Morals, principles, and values. Basically a moral compass. This is the highest point. Because if you can navigate a moral compass and a conscience, and a moral compass, and acquire money through the through those areas, do you acquire money for that in this world? No. Why? I'm sorry to say that it's broken. Do you know why? Because people think money is the highest form of enlightenment. Let's go back to somebody else because I'm not that person. Everyone thinks that money is the highest point of enlightenment because then you can do what you want. But you can still be docile, sitting at the bottom. You think you're at the top and you're sitting at the bottom. You're still spectating. Maybe you worked something. Maybe you generated an idea and it made a lot of money, but let me tell you what, there was some corruption in that before you could even get any dollar, right? Because that's how the world works. Because some man told me once and he's right. And, you know, sad really. Because you've got docile people, loads of money. Because that's how it works. So we've got a question, why does it work like that? Why you got docile people, lots of money, making decisions about maybe who's having injections, who's being taken care of through the COVID-19, who's having the injections. Mass elderly people died. It was an attack. Okay? It was an attack. It was a spiritual one. A Scientologist one. Right? A lot of people got cancer, didn't they? Right? It was a Scientologist effect. But the reason why they did it was because they wanted to depopulate humanity. They told you in the Rosicrucians. I don't support the Rosicrucians, but I know they are. Because the Rosicrucians, you know, I know the Rosicrucians are rising Kabbalah, and I'll talk about that another time. But let's get on to understanding the Scientologist and just finish this off. So let's finish off who's in charge. We've got judges, we've got positions of power, we've got judges up there, they're telling, they've taken a lot of children, okay? So there's issues in the world right now. Let's talk about them. The children, there's a lot of children going in care. There's a lot of children in care homes. And unfortunately, the history books are just going to say it was a virus. Yeah. In about 100 years' time, we'll say it's a virus. What is it going to be? Pick a mix. Illuminati. Okay? Was it a virus? Was it? Or was it, are you going to be honest? Did you just take a lot of children? Yeah. Never to be seen again. So that's understanding the pyramid again. Stealing money from councils and stuff like that, and that. No enlightenment in these people. They just want the money. So they're all docile. So you're letting the docile people rule. Because I don't see any higher ups getting any benefits from that. Apart from the judges hush hush. So I'm upset about this. I don't appreciate you for this. And I just want to let you know that as we rise on a Kabbalah, we all must rise to an aspect of wisdom and understanding of what's going on, what happened, okay? What happened created misery on a plane, and unfortunately this should not have happened. And I'm not happy about this, but we're actually all sat there. But mercy, in a way where it's a lack of resource. So we're not even docile anymore. Why? Because we had information at our fingertips. and they've changed the information as well. So it's all like mixed information. It's not actually a true. You can't sit on Google anymore and just go, what's the answer? Okay, everything's changed. Okay, you don't get the right astrologies anymore that we had before. We don't get the same things that we had anymore. A lot of it's gone down, and it's misinformation, which is sad because not even astrology is making sense. So this is an example of a merged mix-up at a 5D. Just an observation at a 5D, because that's an AI screen. It's a 5th dimensional understanding. This is 5G as well. So the 5G is interesting because we're going to 5D, which is GD. Okay, interesting, isn't it? So G is the internet connection and D is the dimension. So this is how they figured it out. So GD is the 5G towers, well, not the 5, but the 5G, and then the 5 dimension is the D, so it's GD. So this is why the Jews always cower and say GD, because they can't understand it, can't condone it, can't explain it. Not that they can't condone it, but they can't explain it. And that's how I see it. That's wisdom and understanding. What are we here to understand? Well, this usually happens, but I don't think they're going to go up to 6. I don't think our brains would be able to withstand it. It's actually a conscious understanding where compassion has to fall back into our own laps to understand what we have. Have we been good? Have we been bad? Have we been breaking the law? Are we good people for what we have done? Is your conscience clear? Where are all these children, for example, right? Where are all the elderly? Well, they passed away, a lot of them did, didn't they? Right, so we know that. So just really want to put this into perspective from like different standpoints, because I can't provide you with an aspect of resource because I'm not here to do that. You are. I'm up here. In a Kabbalic sense. So obviously you get many kings and queens in this world, in this time, in this paramount energy. You know, some people don't want you to do that. Some people are jealous of us for sharing this knowledge and awareness. We have to get beat down, for example, just sharing love on your Facebook. Probably about 2 years ago, you know, a lot of bad things happened to me just because I shared love. And then the message was repeated from the supposed enlightened ones, okay? But we're struggling. They're not addressing the issues. They're acting docile. They're ignoring what's going on. And they are pretending that they're just not addressing it. So it makes you docile. And you fail to enlighten yourselves. So where are the queens? Talking about, right? This is an inverted state as well. So this is Scientology. We will talk about religion. This is a Scientology, mercy. This is meant to be where they originally healed. I've said this before. So this is resource. So they can give you or take that away an aspect of a 5th dimension. So hopefully this is all coming together for you. I just wanted to explain a couple of things about this process and just a little bit about what happened in COVID, and just really just be honest about this. You know, I'm about humility. I'm about respect for people, and this is a public service that I'm doing. I'm not doing it for YouTube. I'm doing it because I want to do it, okay? And it's to promote aspects of justice from an aspect of injustice where we lack resource, okay? Or Scientology has failed to recognise. They've utilised it, encouraged it, placed it within an AI synopsis, and literally is going to create Black Death on the world. If we don't rise to a 6, if we don't rise to an aspect of 6 where we are conscious of ourselves and just playing 5D realms, then I've got better things to do with my time. Okay? I like to save children, rise them. take them to heaven. Do you know who I am? I'm not playing silly little games with little boys that are big.